T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Happy Thursday, and we are back with another recap show of NXT, which happens on Tuesdays. And so we don't have our usual three, but it's fine because me and Shay got this. We've done this plenty of times previously together and other formats, and so this is gonna be super cool. But anyway, I am Katrina from In Cat We Trust, and also a host and writer of Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And as always, I have the lovely Miss Shay Sawyer joining me today for NXT. How are you today?
I am good. Oh my God, we have so much to get into for this episode. I'm just like, Jesus. Man. I know you just never know peace on this brand, honestly.
So, yeah, you listen. It is always some shenanigans. I feel there, as you said, new piece. We did discuss before we got on to briefly mention the whole Mandy Rose situation. Just because she was part of the NXT roster and literally had the championship for, it was over a year, I believe, right?
That's
almost.
days.
Yeah. So she's had it for some time, and so that was a milestone in itself. And so briefly, if you heard the situation, WWE did release Mandy Rose following supposedly some content that she was posting behind the paywall that really didn't fall in line with what the agreed parameters is. And I'm saying it again, I don't know the full story. And I guess my quick thoughts about that is just because we don't know the full story, I don't want to go into a whole like tirade about it, because I feel like in this particular scenario, it's not as black and white as I've seen people speculating that it is. While I do believe there's some double standards, yes, because there are a lot of questionable people in WWE currently. Questionable. There was literally a questionable CEO. And we laugh and joke about Mr. McMahon, but he did some very questionable things, and he left on his own terms. But I never thought Rusty Davidson man would leave, and so there's clearly some double standards, especially with some of the things we've seen. And so I'm not, again, no need to debate that. I agree. However, if it is if it's a situation where she was told about this and she chose to make a decision for what worked for her, allegedly, yes. If she chose to, I guess, make a decision that was what worked for her, then we cannot fault her if she if she knew and she was like, money looking kind of good. And again, that is her choice. She's a grown woman. She can make that choice if she wants, if she feels that's something she wants to do. So because I really truly don't know what the full story as far as what was said before that happened, and I was a little surprised, I guess, when we get into it in the episode about, I was like, oh, okay, that was quick. In regards to, I knew it was happening because I've been waiting for this, honestly. But also, I was like, oh, okay, kind of weird that it was so sudden. And I'm guessing this was why. But again, because I truly do not know what the actual situation was, I will not go on a whole tirade as the same people do. Because if it's a choice she actually made and she felt this was the choice for her, then we cannot be mad at that or mad even at WWE if this is a choice she made. So that's my basic thoughts. I'm not gonna go into a whole thing about it because I just don't want to argue with people. And if you catch me on a good day, I might, but I'm not gonna argue today. So that's all I'm going to say on it. I don't know if you want to say anything really briefly about it, Shay.
No, you basically covered it. It's the same thing. Like, we don't have all the, moving parts to really form a full opinion on it. So I'm just gonna be like, it sucks because I mean, I liked Mandy. Like, she had a lot of things that she brought to the table that I appreciated. Some people, we just look for different things a lot of times in wrestlers, but I enjoyed her. So it was sad. But yeah, it's not enough information for me to be like, so.
Yeah, yeah. I just like, I've been seeing and I'm like, all right, you don't need to write the think pieces until we know. Now, if it says, oh, she's like, nah, they didn't tell me nothing, they just fired me, and I was like, oh my god, surprise. Well, then I can understand that, but we truly do not know. It does, and I believe if this was the quote I saw, she was like, her website is still up, so she knows her website is good, and I feel like if she's talking about my website is still up, she is really not. She's not bothered the way y'all are bothered, and so like I said, I will not have a full and we're not going to do all that, at least here. But just because we are talking about NXT and something, with her, by the end of the episode, I felt we should have touched on it. So let's, with that being said, let's jump right into it with NXT, which did start off with this lovely, lovely Roxanne Perez, who kind of opens the show, and she kind of, I guess, again, it was a super awesome match. At Deadline, I actually wasn't sure what I was going to get going into Deadline because I wasn't sure about like the way the rules was for the match. So watching it, I'm like, okay, all right, this is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was actually very entertained by the Iron Survivor Challenge matches. I thought they were pretty solid. And so she was the winner of the women's Deadline, which I was super happy for because, hello, she's amazing. And, Grayson Waller kind of came out there and interrupted Miss Roxanne with his shenanigans, kind of, for whatever reason, I guess he was like, I think I want to say, I think he made a tweet, which I did like, okay, you're still in gimmick, where he was saying that it was like a step, a step down. Like he was talking mad, like talking real spicy on the Twitter. And so he did come out and interrupt her, but Braun Breaker did make his way and kind of chased off Grayson Waller. However, during this time, Mandy Rose also kind of came out there as she was challenged even more quickly for her NXT Women's title, which we thought we might have gotten in January. I believe that's they have a I believe they have like a pay-per-view that weekend going into New Year's, if I'm not mistaken, or the first weekend of January. And so I thought that's what we were going to get it at, but apparently they was like, nope, this random Tuesday in December, we about to have a title match. Like she wanted, I'm about to put my challenge out. And so Mandy did come out and kind of do some stuff to Roxanne Perez at the end of that segment. And at one point, I'm not going to lie, before they kind of said that it would be a championship match on Tuesday, I thought it might have been maybe a mixed tag. That I was like, okay, maybe we get some, it would be kind of cool to see Roxanne in that capacity. But it was still, I was like, okay, that surprised me because I didn't think it was going to be, she was going to challenge so soon. I thought we would have got a little bit time for her to kind of like work up to that. But I guess we know kind of know why, right? So I guess why they kind of worked up so quickly. So what are your thoughts about the opening of NXT?
Grayson, shut up. My gosh, this man. I felt so annoyed for like Roxanne. She's just trying to be like, yay, I'm happy. Let me talk about it. And he's just like, no. Oh my god, I can't wait until he has his match, and I hope somebody gets involved. I really, really do, because Grayson, you're getting on my nerve. New York, New York. Uh, and I mean, I was shocked when Roxanne was like, tonight. I'm like, this night? Oh wow, okay, that's interesting, because I thought it was going to be built to New Year's Evil, get, something, and give them more time. I feel like it was so unexpected. But I mean, hey, and shout out to Braun for sticking up for Roxanne when no one else would. Put Grayson in his place. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really like Grayson Waller, so there's that. He annoys me. He annoys me. And so I was just like, bro, you could have picked anybody else to come out. You go with somebody I don't care about. You don't go out on Roxanne. I like Roxanne. You don't do that to Roxanne. You do it to some other unknown person that I just don't really care about. Not that they're unknown, but there's people completely NXT. I'm just like, about. And so go to one of those. Go to one of the people that I don't care about and I wouldn't feel away about. But yeah. So finally we have our first match of the night, which is Stacks versus Wesley. So you want to tell everybody about that matchup?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So basically Stacks came out like a hound, because I guess Tony is really wanting to catch Wesley off guard. So he had Stacks attack him in the back. So he's getting beat up. He didn't even get to do an entrance. He's just getting beat up to the ring all the way over there. Pretty soon Wesley gets control. I just feel like Wesley's in his moment right now. He cannot be knocked off his game. So shout out to Stacks, and he's been getting a lot of play airtime. His match with Shinsuke, obviously he was very impressive, but this is different. This is just a different game, ball game right now with Wesley and where he is mentally. So Wesley was just not having it, and it ends with Wesley getting the win, as we knew, duh. But then Tony wants to get all upset and come up in the ring and start with his mess when his little pupil doesn't get the win for him. And then here comes Dijak, Mr. Vengeance, with the glasses and the scary tall figureness in the ring with his little picture in the glasses thing that he does. This is going to be a really fun triple threat match. It's obvious that this is leading to a triple threat that will probably happen at New Year's Evil, and I'm hoping that Wesley retains, but if he doesn't, I really, really am very big on Tony D, and if he won, I would be very happy. But also, Dijak cannot lose because he just came back. This is really hard.
I mean, yeah, I thought it was actually a really entertaining match as well. But I was like, well, damn, all the way from the back, as you said, I was like, why is it gotta always be all this extra in NXT? Like every time, every single time, it's like, why it gotta be all these extra shenanigans? Like every time, it's like at first it was the parking lot, now it's backstage. It's just always something happening, and so he definitely did get beat up all the way to the front. However, I am interested to kind of see, because I feel like also these three have very different style approaches in their wrestling style, and so if it is a triple threat that we're going to get, I kind of agree. Like you kind of like, I'm okay with I'm okay with Stacks, but then I do like Wesley, and I felt like after the shenanigans they had Wesley go through before he finally got to a point where he was finally thriving, do I really want him to lose it? Necessarily no, because like he done dealt with enough. Like I remember the first half of this year, they were doing a lot of shenanigans with him. Okay, just a lot of having my poor Wesley just lose, and I'm like, what for what? What? And so I don't know how I feel about him losing. But then, we said with Dijak, it's like, you did come back. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose of you doing all this extra tough guy stuff if you lose. And so, I don't know. Maybe there'll be a way where if he does lose it and West retain, it won't make him look weak if he doesn't take a pin. So maybe it'll be a way to make them still look semi-strong, where it won't really like, okay. Sometimes they can pull it off well, where a person still looks decent enough if they don't win the match. And so, I mean, I guess we'll see, but I did think it was a pretty solid go round. And so next matchup, we got some ladies action, which I was like, okay, with Tatum Paxley, Ivy Now, and Toxic Attractions, Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane. And so I thought it was kind of cool that actually they started off with like super kicks. I believe Toxic Attraction started off with super kicks to kind of start. I was like, okay, get your little Shawn Michaels stuff happening on. I was like, all right, I appreciate the little ode to my guy Shawn. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it actually started out really strong, honestly. I thought the fact that they were kind of matching gear, which I'm all for like, you can have your own style of wrestling gear, but I'm also all for, it at least matching in a way. So like, how Destiny's Child used to have like they matched, but they also had, clothes that was very unique to them, and even though we knew who clearly the Beyonce outfit was, so you knew Beyonce outfit was always extra beautiful. Like, they made Beyonce's mom made sure her outfit was always on point, but you know how they still matched and they looked together. And so I do like seeing that with tag teams, where they like, okay, you can see their personality, but you also see that they're a team. And so I thought this really started off really well. But then because KC squared kind of got involved, which was I was a little surprised by. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm just like, why? I felt like I wanted to really see them kind of go at it with this matchup, because it looked like I said, it started off really strong. So I'm like, okay, let's see what y'all gonna have. And so the fact that it kind of went into a little bit of chaos, and Toxic Attraction wind up winning because of the disqualification, it was a little. I was like, okay, I'm gonna assume we're probably gonna get a triple threat at some point because of this, because Toxic Attraction got the win because of their interference. But then they already also, as far as Casey Squared, as I love Stephanie likes to say, also, as you know, had a problem with Toxic Attraction as well. And so I feel like it could really be something, and maybe we get a triple threat along the line, maybe even for the titles. I don't know. I do feel like it's going that way, but I do want at least Toxic Attraction and Ivy and Tatum to kind of have an actual match, because I felt like it was actually, I was like, okay, this could be something, and then it kind of was like, oh wait, okay, shit, a lot of shenanigans happening on the outside, and so I want to actually see that matchup like play out properly, but otherwise it was okay, pretty good. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm a little bummed we didn't get a full match with them, but I just know, just from that little taste, that when they finally have the triple threat, because it's gonna be a triple threat tag. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious at this point that that's gonna be a serious banger. So I'm excited for that, and that's where I'm a little bit like, oh, because I'm like, who do I want to win that? Because now we're in a different. I was in a totally different mindset at the time. I was like, KC squared, you keep it. Yes. Now I'm like, Gigi and JC need to rebuild. They just took a serious blow to the Toxic Attraction, banner. And now I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm confused. I'm conflicted, but I'm still going to be excited to see the match, though. So there's that.
Yeah, I agree. I guess we'll see. I feel like I'm not really a fan of Toxic Attraction again, because I just wasn't a fan of them. However, I respect them being a woman's like stable. I think we needed more of those anyway, and so I respect that we got that. And so I'm like, okay, maybe. And I thought like Casey Squared, they did work for, like, they were here for a long time. And I was like, about time, because I was WWE, I didn't know what they was doing with them for a minute, because they were just there. And so it's kind of nice to see them as champions as well. But it's also nice to kind of see Ivy and Tatum kind of making their little mark, starting to make their mark. And so it seems like well, I guess we'll see what leads up in the next few weeks. And so after that, there was a segment with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, and Trick was kind of asking, why is Carmelo letting Axion kind of make fun of him, etc., which led Carmelo to challenging Axion, which he did accept. So what are your thoughts about that segment?
Oh my god, it sounds like Trick was like switching sides a little bit, like all this questioning, like stop questioning him first and foremost, because that was not his fault. You watched it, we saw what happened. There was serious voodoo and witchcraft going on, so Trick needs to take that into account and calm down. And then also that match with Axiom, sign me up, I'm ready. Is it next week?
It might be. I think it's gonna be a banger. I know it is. When we get to it's gonna be great. So But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Trick fell away. I don't know. I think me and Steph mentioned this a few months ago. Is like, I don't know, Trick. I don't know. So it could really well be one of those situations. And so moving on, the next matchup was Odyssey Jones with Malik Blade and Idris Anafe versus Von Wagner, who was accompanied by Mr. Stone. So do you want to tell what went down in that matchup?
Well, it was basically Vaughn kind of getting, well, to me, it felt like he's being dominated. I don't know. And it's just like crazy to me because I feel like Vaughn was treated as this huge prospect maybe like 3 weeks ago. And now it's like you slowly see the fall down the totem pole happening. And now they're back on Odyssey. But a lot of people forget, I guess, for that little time when Odyssey was gone, when the breakout tournament first happened, the two people who everyone was saying was most likely to win were Carmelo or Odyssey. So, I mean, they obviously see something in him. And so him being built back up, I'm interested to see where that goes. I mean, maybe if somewhere down the line Carmelo wins and then, Odyssey is someone who might be in his, sights, they could revisit that because they've already been there before with the breakout tournament.
Yeah, I agree. I was listen. I'm not a fan of Von Wagner because not a fan. So I was okay with him looking like the scrub that I thought he already was. However, I was a little surprised because they definitely was doing the absolute most with him a few weeks ago. Like he was talking about he was going to challenge people. I was like, first of all, you calm that down a bit. Let's slow your roll, hold your horses. None of that. Calm that down. Who do you think you are coming and talking about what you're going to be doing? And so, again, I'm not a fan of him, but I was surprised that it was like, oh, all right. Okay. I mean, I'm not mad about it because I don't care enough about him at all. But I'm just like, oh, all right. I guess that's what we're doing with this. Okay. And so I was a little surprised, not going to lie, because I just, it seemed like it would be a situation. But I felt like in this record with Odyssey definitely had like they were both strong, but I think Odyssey is a bit quicker, in my opinion at least, and I felt like that's kind of what got him with the victory in this one. And so I was like, all right. And so moving on, we did have another matchup, which with Javier Bernal versus Ikemen Gyro. I hope I'm pronouncing this name right. And I haven't seen him in a while, and so excuse me, I haven't seen. I actually am a fan of Ikemen, and so I was like, okay. And so I felt like at first Javier was trying to be a little bit smarter in the beginning, but then there was moments that it was like, okay. And I felt like they actually had pretty solid chemistry personally. Like they worked well. It seemed to me that they were, I was like, okay, all right. I see what you guys are doing there with this matchup. I thought it was pretty solid. And so even though Javier tried, I guess, in the beginning to kind of, do more, he did get put into a Frankensteiner and then a running kick. And that actually gave Ikemen the win. It was, I thought at one point, which I thought he was going to do, was to throw him to the announcer table. But then he didn't. And I felt like that was the issue because maybe if he did, he wouldn't have gotten caught. He probably might not have gotten caught in the heel kick if he did it. If he wasn't like trying to like tease that too much. But he did. And then unfortunately after that, Scripps kind of popped up out of nowhere, doing shenanigans and attacked Ikemen and I feel like for no reason because I was just like, what did he do that you just kind of nowhere, and then not let us get us, with everything. And maybe this is another way to give him some more time on screen because again, we have not seen him in a little bit. It's been a little bit since we've seen him, and so maybe this is the way to kind of get it going. But I'm not really sure how I feel about scripts just coming nowhere. I'm like, what was the point of that? Like how did we get here, I guess? But yeah, otherwise it was pretty okay. It was nice to kind of see him again because again, it's been a little minute. But what are your thoughts about this matchup and I guess scripts involving himself?
I liked it, and I've noticed the last few weeks they've been focusing more on now kind of like building Javier in the ring. Like, I mean, obviously he's had matches on, Level Up, but now on NXT, I feel like for the most part, the crowd is more familiar with his character as opposed to like what he can bring in the ring. So it's nice to just see him being built and people starting to see that, you know what, he kind of brings it all. He's very entertaining. He makes me laugh every time he's on screen with his outlandish things and wanting to wrestle Drake. That's very random, Javi. And then now seeing that he can also bring it in the ring, I'm like, yay, I love it. I love that for him. And then Scripps, Mr. spends one promo saying, I want to go after the big names and all these people who've done this. And then he attacks Icky Man, who, like, we haven't seen Icky Man in, like, how long? So it's like the message, or this is very much losing the plot, because I'm like,
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I was really confused by that. I was like, you just said all this. Why are you messing with? The homie has not been on screen in forever. Give him his time, okay? Let him have his time. Let him have his time. And y'all just, I mean, a very poor Mortal Kombat character, if you ask me. But I'm gonna let Mortal Kombat is one of my games, and maybe the one from like when I was a kid, and like the early 90s, when it was like the real people versions. There was like the people that was like dressed as them, and they had it was like the real people, and then they got more computer. That's what's happening. But yeah, I didn't understand how he went back. He definitely went backwards. I was a little confused, and I'm like, the homie hasn't been on screen. Let the man have his time. He got to win too. Shenanigans. But here we are. Here we are. So after that matchup, there was a little segment showing Nikita on TikTok celebrating Roxanne Perez's win, and then apparently she gets challenged by Zoe Stark, which was like, I mean, okay. And then when did you also talk about her problem still with Cora Jade, which I'm guessing they finally moved Cora Jade away from Roxanne Perez, as they should have, because she didn't deserve goodness for the shenanigans she'd been doing anyway. So move her right down the line where she belongs at the bottom for the shenanigans. And so I was like, okay. I mean, yes, if Wendy kicked Cora behind for her shenanigans, I'm okay with this. I'm all right. I like Wendy. I'm okay with this new feud, and or let's gonna move it into a feud. But also because you thought you were gonna just go up to Roxanne, and no, you did enough to Roxanne this year. Okay, you did enough. She deserves better, and so I'm okay with Wendy doing her thing. And I really wasn't sure why. See, this is this is what I'm saying. I don't like. I feel like that's like a lot of the women's attire shows a lot of stuff. I feel like there's a few of them that I'm like, I don't know if I would be wear it personally, because I don't feel comfortable, showing all that personally. But if you got it and you want to flaunt it, by all means, do you. But I feel like it was because, again, I think it was a lot to do with what the content was. But again, I will not. I'm gonna leave it there. But what were your thoughts on that segment? Those segments, rather.
Well, Wendy, girl, if you want to get your hit back, go ahead and do that. But I feel like Cora is definitely gonna get her hands on that title from Roxanne. I really do think that this is not over. They give me very much Bailey Sasha vibes. Like, I feel like they will always be in each other's ether, like, space for some reason, like their orbit. So I really do think Cora's gonna get that title from Roxanne one way or the other. Like, I'm scared for Roxanne. Roxanne, girl, run. She is not gonna stop. I'm scared.
Oh man, I hope not. I hope they give me some time, because I just feel like after her shenanigans when she was hating, because clearly Roxanne was the superior one of the two. I'm just like, you one of those hating friends. I don't like hating friends. I don't like friends who be like, oh girl, yay, and then all of a sudden you want to be stabbing people. I don't like those kind of friends. Okay, those kind of friends you gotta toss to the side. And so I am hoping, no time soon. I'm gonna be sad. Like, don't do this to me, WWE. You guys did enough to me this year. You did enough with me emotionally. Let's not. But you mentioned Sasha and Bailey, and I hope you guys peeped when they went to live. I was hyped. I was like, Sasha, and they went live, and they spoke to Indy. It was amazing. It was good to see. I believe they spoke to Roxanne as well, and so it was cool. And I was happy, and I was like, yay. I'm glad you're doing well, Mercedes, but yay. So if you haven't, I don't know how their lives, if they kept the videos up, whatever. I don't know how that works anymore with Instagram, because Instagram's always changing. But if you haven't seen it, it was kind of awesome. I definitely was in there for like 15 minutes. Like, Heart eyes, just you guys, so nice. But let's bring it back in to the show. And so the next segment kind of like was a segment with the New Day, Pretty Deadly, and Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. You want to talk about that, Shay?
This is just sick. What's being done to Pretty Deadly? You have to just say the Pledge of Allegiance and then you get a title. Like, what is this? What is this right now, New Day? Please. And then Briggs and Jensen running out there like they never had a title or anything, no decorum, just singing it right away. Like, my gosh, like we all know Briggs and Jensen are not taking those titles from the New Day next week. But you know what? Shout out to them. Shout out to them for, going out there, but it means nothing. Because Pretty Deadly will find a way to get those titles back as they should. Their reign was not done yet, okay? They are funny as hell. I love Pretty Deadly, okay? So give them the titles back, New Day. Give them back right now.
I mean, I was a little bit like, what? Like, I was a little confused. First of all, that right there would have had me like, I gotta do the Pledge of Allegiance, and people might feel the way I'm about to say this. But not Katrina. Not me. If I have a tag team, they say this is the way to get a title. I have to do what? Well, we'll wait next time. Next week, maybe next week we get a title. No, absolutely not. I'm gonna sit there and pretend that we're sitting here like are we realistically one nation? Are we really? Do we really believe? Do people treat people like we don't? So Katrina's not getting out there with my tag team partner and have me looking crazy talking about we're gonna do Pledge of Allegiance. You better pick another stipulation for me to get a championship title match. It won't be that one though. Okay, maybe ask me, could I eat like who could eat the most cheese? I'm like, all right, I got you. I can eat a couple of cheesecake slices, but don't tell me nonsense about the Pledge of Allegiance. I was like, really? And the fact that they stood there, because that was part that New Day was super hard standing there. I was like, no, let's not. I did feel the way. I'm not gonna lie, but I loved New Day. I love them. I think they're like just me watching their G4 channels is enough. Them Tyler Breeze and freaking Cesaro had me like all the time laughing because they were like freaking mad silly for no reason. But I do like Pretty Deadly. I do think they are entertaining. And I know some people don't like them because they're so flamboyant. But listen, everybody is how they are. Suck that up. Random fans getting upset. I think they're funny and they actually can wrestle. I was like, it's not like they're not just like they're being fun. Like they literally can wrestle as well. And so it's like win-win. You got a little bit out of the box kind of tag team, but they can also kind of wrestle. And so I do think they'll probably get it back. But I think it was also kind of to do something with New Day. New Day is really entertaining. New Day has like hit like I believe they're a triple crown. I believe winning this. I think they've won officially like all the time. So that's pretty awesome. First team to do that. And so I think it's just kind of get some back to the tag team division because unfortunately, maybe again I think they're kind of trying to prep Pretty Deadly maybe to make their way up. And let's be real, there's not many tag teams in the other two brands. We see a lot of New Day and Usos, a lot, and then occasionally you see the Street Profits. Sometimes you might see the Viking Raiders. If I'm saying they, and then sometimes you might see what is that group with Otis? Crap, what is the name of their tag team?
It's just Idris and Malik Blade. They don't have a name yet, but they should.
No, I'm talking about on the main roster with Otis and Chad. I forgot what their actual
it's Alpha Academy.
There you go, Alpha Academy. So we got a couple tag teams, but not as many because we haven't told me. And I like, granted, the Usos and the New Day usually deliver, but I was like, all right, if y'all don't do something. And so I feel like maybe this is their way of moving that on. But I was just like, let's not do the Pledge of Allegiance. Just what kind of nonsense? I was a little I guess when Booker T seemed upset that when he was like Xavier, he seemed upset when they said they broke his record. And I'm like, I can get that you might feel away, but also facts are facts. You don't have to like the facts, but the facts are the facts. It's like if I want to say BSB is better than NSYNC, and I want to I will fact. Okay, that's a fact, and it's a fact. If I were to say that, and you don't argue facts, that's one of the situations. Like he wasn't wrong. He did. That's what it is. It is a fact. I didn't understand Booker T's like anger. I'm just like, but what they did. That's literally what they did. They are probably, if not the best tag team in WWE history. And you can even argue maybe in like wrestling in general, honestly. They've done a lot. They hit a lot of milestones. And again, I liked that they was able to do even with 3, where it was always a really unique bond. There was no weirdness between them. Like, oh, there's always maybe that one extra man out. They switched up what they needed to do, and they worked fine. And so I was just like, Big T, don't be bitter. Don't be bitter. Do better. Okay, bitter, not bitter, better, but not bitter. Okay, I'm about to have that on a shirt. Okay, be better, not bitter, because he was being very bitter, and then I didn't like. I'm like, calm down, Book T. He lucky I forgot what his first name is, because he would have got the full name. Had to let people know. Like, first of all, let's calm that down. Okay, we didn't want none of that. He was doing the most, but I was like, okay, but he's right. Calm down, Book T. Calm down. But yeah. Also, I believe there was a segment with Jensen and Kiana James, which I feel like they're gonna make them a real thing, and I'm here for it. I'm a good, I like my wrestling, I like my horror, but I am also a sappy person, and I just love the romance. That's why I love Index so much. It's like, oh, love in the air, and so I'm ready for this, and so I feel like that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, what are your thoughts, I guess, about Booker T being pressed? Because he was pressed, clearly.
Booker, please stop hating. Oh my God, stop this, Booker. Like, please. He was doing it for weeks now. Weeks. It's getting ridiculous, Booker, okay? And then also, in terms of the stuff with Kiana and Jensen, I think that's cute. I love a good odd pairing, so it's cute. Like, yes. And also, it gives Kiana more of like, a storyline, something to really dig into outside of her running around handing people checks and contracts. It wasn't giving enough for me. So this is better, because after NXT Deadline, I think everyone sees she's not to be played with. She's bringing something serious to the table. So she's a good, compelling storyline, and move on from there, because she's a star to me. I love her.
I was actually really impressed with her at that. I was like, okay, because again, I wasn't sure. I felt they just ran with done. Was like, I don't know how I feel about you just throwing her in there. But she actually impressed me. I was impressed with her during Deadline, and so yeah, I feel like you get her so she can wrestle clearly, and she's getting better. And then add some more, what you call it, outside of the fact that she's sitting here doing the 401 case, and we can really do something with that. So I'm all for it. I'm with it. And so going into our next matchup, we had Mr. Brutus Creed with Julius Creed with JD McDonough. I totally forgot to post the pictures when we were talking about the segment, but look at these shenanigans. Pure shenanigans. Pure shenanigans. Wouldn't be me. But so we have a matchup with JD McDonough and Brutus Creed. And I really thought, and like, Brutus kind of came in like with it. I was actually like, okay, I'm feeling it. I actually thought he came in really, really strong. I thought, unfortunately though, because JD actually can wrestle, he wound up actually winning the match. And I feel like, because he's actually JD has been in so many situations now with different wrestlers, that I feel like if you didn't really know who he was prior to coming to the regular NXT brand outside of UK, you're kind of making him look more like a threat, because he's able to kind of get through a lot of opponents. And why he did not necessarily, excuse him, sorry, why he didn't mean put that too soon. While he didn't beat Braun twice, he has been doing other things that kind of like, okay, he can be a legit threat if they keep up with this, even if he doesn't always win. He can be a threat. And so I'm like, okay, he kind of annoys me, but I can, appreciate when something is when somebody is doing it. And I feel like they definitely they did well. I kind of feel like it's they keep giving him these matches that doesn't necessarily feel finished. And so I feel like that happened, but I feel like, could they go one more time and really, like, yes, I feel like they could. I felt like, again, it was a really entertaining matchup, and I enjoyed it. What are your thoughts about that?
JD been whooping on the Creed brothers for weeks now. I don't know whether they deserve it or not. That's still something I need to research. I'm leaning towards they did, because Julius is being stupid. Julius, if you're injured, if you're hurt, just heal. It's okay. Trust me. The match that you want to have will be waiting the next week. Trust me. But between JD and Brutus, I did enjoy it. I think, of course, a lot of times, even myself sometimes, I can underestimate Brutus, but then he always kind of proves me wrong in the ring. Like, he has a different style, but it works for him. And, I'm hoping they get it together, because right now the way that they're booking the creeds is like they're like really dumb and they don't like think things through. And I don't like that, because they weren't like that when it was like fully Diamond Mine, when it wasn't imploding from the inside. They had common sense, but clearly that has went away, far away, in a far, far land that nobody has a name for.
Oh, I agree. They do kind of have like they don't know how to be a team. It's kind of weird, honestly. But I guess we'll see. But maybe they'll get it together, Sean. Because you do the stuff back there to get it together. So next up, we finally get the debut of Miss Lyra Valkyria versus Amari Miller. So do you want to talk about her NXT debut?
Yeah, we hadn't seen Amari Miller for a little while, so I was shocked to see that she was the one to be chosen to kind of, obviously put Lyra over. I mean, clearly she was going to be, the one not winning, because, she just came. She needs to get that win, if you start off with a loss, it's downhill from there. I love her in ring. I'm excited to see how she kind of goes into this. I think she still needs to work a little bit more on her character. I didn't really like the rain. I didn't like the rain. I'm sorry. It wasn't going for me. But I do like that, she had a nice move set. I loved her Northern Lights. I am a sucker for a really good Northern Lights. Like, and hers is really good. The frog splash, we can talk about it. But I think that she has a lot of moves in her arsenal, so no matter what, she'll be good. And I'm glad that she won, and I'm very interested to see more from her.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that you couldn't have her lose on her debut. They've been doing too much prep hyping up for that. So I'm like, you had to let her win. I agree. That rain was terrible. That was a CGI effect they could have kept. I was just like, what are we doing with this? It's like those really bad low budget YouTube movies where somebody's like, oh, I have this one camera and an hour of time, and so let's make this home movie and here's some rain. And that's what I was no. I don't know. Now WWE, you got money for production. Let's not do that again. I'm hoping that they get rid of that rain. The rain is terrible. However, I do like that, she can wrestle, and I do think she has a pretty good arsenal in her. She has a lot happening that I can see. Like, they didn't need to do too much. Uh, with her just right away. Um, necessarily, I think they don't have to do too much with her just yet. We can kind of get introduced to her slowly, but I do think like, okay, we can kind of see where they go with this. But otherwise, it was solid. I just was yeah, I really didn't like the rain either, and so I was just like, nobody asked for that. So there was, after this matchup, there was two segments. One with Elektra Lopez kind of mocking Indy Hartwell backstage, which led into a brawl. And then Isla Dawn, after the shenanigans she pulled, because there was shenanigans, okay, that she told Alba Fire that she has something special for winter solstice. And I did, now granted, she was doing shenanigans, but I did appreciate the reference to the winter solstice. I was like, okay, you know it. Like, yes, everybody knows winter coming, but like very specifically, people who celebrate the solstice and all that kind of stuff, very like witchy, and I'm like, yeah, and spiritual. And I'm like, okay, sis, cause same. That will be coming. You do little stuff to get yourself into the winter situation. But I was also like, but after Deadline, I don't like that. You put the little rain crowd. Listen, literally wrestling last name is Storm, and even I know if I come out with some raggedy rain, somebody slap me. Okay, Katrina, what are you doing? Let's not. That's like me coming out with like a lightning bolt. Gonna be like, what is this? What is this? What are you doing? That's kind of what I got from that rain thing. It was just. But that, again, Sean, get it together. Somebody in production need to have a conversation. Don't do it again. But yeah, I was like, okay. I mean, I guess I appreciate the little winter solstice comments. But what are your thoughts on? Yes, absolutely. I am definitely into the spooky stuff, but I'm also, a witch. So it's super awesome to kind of see that stuff. Like, yes, more. But also, I didn't like what she did to Alba. So it's like that, like, oh yay, but also side eye. One of those situations. What were your thoughts on that segment?
I love
Segments.
Isla. I love her vibe. It's so just different. I've always been into witch stuff, so you know what? I love a good witch. And I mean, I don't think this thing between her and Alba is done, so I'm just excited to see what levels they take it to, because we've seen in the past that Alba knows how to take things to the next level every time. She goes too far sometimes, but let's see if Isla can go even further. And Electra, please leave Indy alone. Damn, every other day. Leave her alone. Oh.
Oh my god, well, you said every other day. But yeah, because she had been starting. But yeah, we'll see. I feel like this is gonna be okay, all right. So moving along, we have our next matchup with Damon Kemp versus Duke Hudson, accompanied by Chase U. And so I thought very early on, honestly, Duke seemed hesitant, and I'm not really sure why. But I felt like Damon definitely did use that to his advantage. Totally forgot to put the picture on there uh, for this matchup. But I I did like at first that I thought maybe Damon can pull this off, but it seemed like Duke had his university, and I felt like, you know, I don't like that I felt like this is almost a squash to an extent, because it seemed like it started off really good, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, oh okay, and I felt like it was a very quick match, almost like a squash, and it's kind of disappointing with Damon Kemp. Is That's kind of what they're doing with him. Right now I'm not really sure why. However, I did like that he did use the kind of, oh, okay, he got the universe kind of hyping him up to kind of get him to where he needs to get to, because he wound up winning the match by pinfall. But I don't know if this is gonna be like, if this is his way of trying to become like a full baby face, and that's what they're trying to feel like they're trying to do. But it's kind of unfortunate for, you know Damon, because I'm like, well, damn, like, but also I did see Gallagher was there. Got sent to the back watching the match close. I don't know if they're gonna really do something with that. But yeah, otherwise it was okay. I was just kind of annoyed that it seemed like it was a squash after a while. Like, it started off really good, and then I was like, oh, all right. Kind of felt like a little blindsided by that. So what were your thoughts on that matchup?
It's clear that they kind of booked Damon into a really bad corner, because having him go against Julius was the worst thing they could have possibly ever did, because he was not going to win. I thought for a second maybe they might. I felt like that's what they had to do, because they're already kind of like just now kind of putting Damon into this role of being like the heelish type, and the antagonist, and then you just have him lose his first big match out. It was not a good one for, like, him in his new role. And now it's just like, do we even take him seriously now because of the way that they booked him? It's really bad. I feel bad, and I hope that they fix things. I think that Drew Gulak was examining Damon, and I think from the last week he was looking at Charlie Dempsey. I think that he's trying to build, you know, wrestlers who kind of wrestle like Drew, very, technically sound wrestlers. You would put Charlie in that category. I would put Damon in that category. Maybe he's building a group. That's what I'm getting. So maybe this will be the rebuild that Damon needs going forward. And Duke is a mole. Again, Duke is a mole. He is stealing Chase U from Andre right under his eyes, stealing his move sets what's not his move set. He stole someone else. But you know what I mean? He's stealing all of his juju, and it is going unnoticed, and it's so sick.
I mean, I know you go under, you're that right about that every week, so it's great. It's great. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I do definitely think they booked Damon into a corner as well, and it's unfortunate because I feel like they don't know what to do now, and so he's keep taking these L's, and it's like, I thought we would kind of get like a difference with it, but we didn't. And so it's like, oh, well, maybe, hopefully soon, so yeah, which leads us now until our final matchup of the night, which is for the NXT Women's Championship match between Roxanne and Mandy Rose. So do you want to tell the audience about that one?
I'm upset because I feel like they could have at least, like, if it was that big of a deal, you could at least waited a week and really give them some time. They barely had time to really. If you're gonna end a 413-day title reign, I would think you would have enough respect to end it with a longer, better planned out match, as opposed to on the fly with, like, maybe I think it was like 6-7 minutes left. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I honestly, I'm just so. I feel like that reign deserved a better end match. Not saying it was bad, and that's the thing, because Roxanne, Mandy, they definitely bring it in the ring, but I feel like it could have been so much more if they had more time. Time is always such an important thing in matches, and it really gives you that time to really build it. It didn't get that. Am I happy for Roxanne? I feel like no matter what, Roxanne was gonna win. We all knew Roxanne was literally meant for that title. So people saying she wasn't supposed to, stop lying. From the minute that girl walked in the building, she was gonna touch that title, period. So I mean, I just would have liked a better end to the reign match. But am I happy with the ending? Yes, I feel like it was time for that change, and I'm just excited to see where it goes for Roxanne and who's gonna be her opponent at New Year's Evil.
Yeah, I will agree with regards to it definitely could have had some more time because it was a surprise. Again, a part of me feels like this is a way of punishment. Because it was a very odd thing. She was 3 days shy of tying Shayna Baszler. And while we know Asuka's as she should be. And see, before I go into, I just want to say to the negativity that happened. I think that was 2 weeks ago, and y'all was trying to tell me that. Oh, was it last week? I went on a whole rant about how dare you guys put that negativity in the air that Mandy Rose is going to be Asuka. The universe heard me say, not in 2022. We're not in 2022 with these shenanigans, and here we are. And so, why I do feel again, the situation's unfortunate. The universe heard me say, we're not gonna have her be no Oscar. Y'all gonna stop those shenanigans. Y'all put that negativity in the air like that. And now here we are. See, universe heard Katrina. It heard me. So she's 3 days shy of Shayna Baszler's NXT women's title record. And so I did feel, because again, she almost tied somebody. We wasn't sure who was, like, when they were gonna have her drop it. I also feel like whoever was blatantly fibbing, it was quite obvious Roxanne was gonna hit that title at some point, because she had the title shot already previously in the year before Corver interfered. She literally had it then. She won the option to have the title shot. She won it fair and square. And you know, it was a situation where Cora kind of interfered and they kind of threw her away from the title for a bit. So once she came in, I was like, oh, she's gonna win this, and she did. And I was like, yes, because I was hyped. I think I lost my voice partially, and I was just looking for that match. I was like, okay, look, yeah, I know how I'm feeling, and so I expected her. I didn't think it was gonna be on. I thought they were gonna wait into the pay-per-view. Honestly, I did. I was very surprised that it was a random Tuesday. However, it was also like that. The universe heard me, because hey, no, because y'all wasn't gonna have y'all put that bad energy, and I was upset for that for like a day. I just like had to go tell a friend, like, girl, let me tell you what they said. But these, like, had to let it know, like, the universe heard me. And so thank you, universe, for not letting these shenanigans happen, because y'all gonna disrespect Oscar like that. Anyway, yes. I am very happy for Roxanne. Again, she hit another, being the youngest NXT Women's Champion, just like she was the youngest Ring of Honor Women's Champion. And I think it's good. That's always amazing to be that young and be that talented and hit milestones. I think that's always amazing. I hope they give her a correct reign, and I hope that the whole situation with Mandy, because I was like, don't you take away Roxanne's, like, she can wrestle. Let's not do those shenanigans. Might even say she can out wrestle Mandy realistically. So let's not do those shenanigans, because you can like Mandy Rose without don't do shenanigans. However, I'm hoping they give I'm hoping they give her a decent reign, and it's not no shenanigans. I know you've saying court, but, like, can you give me some time? Like, I feel like, let's not put this negative vibes out there. Like, give me some time with Roxanne being the champion. And I guess if she has to lose, it's fine. But let it not be like in a week. I'm gonna be sad. We'll be like, first of all, how dare you? Don't do that to me and have me hype. And like, wait, no. And then somebody will get lit at that point. I'm gonna have to just gonna find numbers and stuff. We don't need that kind of energy. But I do agree. I thought it was good, but I also thought they should have had more time considering it was supposed to be like a. Yeah, I just I want to feel like they're not even a real cult following. I'm gonna tell you why. Because as somebody who's been a diehard Jeff Hardy fan, like, and even though I would tell people, I can be a fan, but I can be a not biased fan. You don't be a biased fan. Like, his shenanigans, where he was doing shit and could have got people hurt and stuff. Jeffrey, gonna use the full name now. No, be smart. But I'm a diehard Jeff Hardy fan, and I will argue anybody about how amazing he is. People jumped on the Roman Reigns train because he's tribal chief. I was on that train. Very few of us was on that Roman Reigns train fighting, like fighting for our lives, as Shay said before, because we were Roman Reigns, because we liked Roman. Like, nobody wanted to hear that. We already knew he was great, and we were fighting hard on that Roman Reigns train, like with no passengers, not that many passengers. People was like, "Oh, the looks." I'm like, "No, we was there from the beginning." And so I feel like that cult following is very different than people was like, "Oh, she has some nudes. I want to see it. Let me defend her." I feel like a lot of part of the what I saw online, at least, was like you had the women who was like, "Wait a minute, this is nonsense. She should be able to celebrate what you guys put," which is true. They did like literally had a whole thing about her being like the sex. It was a whole thing where her gimmick was supposed to be she was supposed to be really pretty. I think literally like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. You know, However, again, I think a part of that was like women felt the way, and then the men was like, "Oh, I want to see what she posted." I saw a lot of that, and so I don't know about call it a cult following. I feel like because I've been part of those followings, and we are real like I'm not gonna go find you like how that's crazy. I feel like there's a level of you could be a fan without being crazy. I feel like a lot of fans don't know how to differentiate. Like at the end of the day, do Roman Reigns know I exist? Absolutely not. So I'm not gonna be like, let me go find your address and do some weird stuff like people be doing that. I feel like that's a level. I felt like if anything, there was like, oh, Mandy's pretty. She's showing nudes. I want to see nudes, and I felt like that's what was happening. But yeah. Otherwise, to reel it back in, I think it was a solid end. And I'm very happy for Roxanne. It was after Booker T's shenanigans earlier in the show. It was kind of nice to see him, like, because that was his student at the school he has. And so I was like, okay, yes, because he was kind of annoying me with your getting mad about Xavier Woods because you was wrong, okay, being all bitter and salty. Uh, but yeah, otherwise it was a pretty solid episode of NXT. And so that is it for this week's recap, guys. As always, thank you guys for always hanging out with us and watching us. And you, Shay, tell everybody where they can find you and what you got going on.
All right. Well, you can catch me at Shay Sawyer _, for most of my social medias. You can catch me on Tuesday on Unpopular Review to review NXT directly after. That's like the right after thoughts. This is like when I have time to soak it in thoughts right now. And then you can catch me on Wednesday for the challenge review show. That's right after, which is at 9:30. Also, don't we have something going on tomorrow?
We do. We do. So yes, tomorrow, as normally me and Shay have partnered up to do certain shows on Vice, and so Vince McMahon did have his documentary on Vice this past Tuesday. Right after around I guess when NXT was on, about the 9 lives of Vince McMahon. And while I don't think they did too much new things, we did decide that we had to come back again one more time to do another Vice TV documentary. And so tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we will be live on my channel in Cat We Trust and on Popular Review, my former channel, but also Shay's current channel. So definitely check out social medias. We'll go live at 7 p.m. Eastern time. As far as where you can find me, I am on most social media platforms in Cat We Trust, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, the E's of 3. Find me there. Again, I totally slacked with getting the freaking panel from LA. It's been really crazy and busy. It's been so busy. And then my kids in school and holidays. This is getting really insane. But I'm trying to have it up by the end of the weekend. But yeah. Definitely check out the website, www.talkpod.com, to check out all the amazing articles. There's an article almost every day. Definitely subscribe to the Twitch, to the YouTube to check out all our shows. We literally have some kind of show happening every day, sans probably Saturday, I believe. I believe Saturday is the only day we don't really, unless there's a pay-per-view happening and there's like a live stream show or there's like an after show. We have a show like every day of the week, sometimes multiple shows in one day. There's also the live WWT live happening 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So definitely go check that out. Follow all the social medias. WWE Talk Pod, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We are everywhere you can find us because we are the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. So hello, support, all that good stuff. Subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff. And until next time, I know that was a mouthful. I said a lot very quickly. My apologies. But until next time, guys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us as always. Later, guys.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.